it fresh, helping perfect your California flavor.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network.
Fabulous.
Live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Amazing.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good Sunday morning to you. 8:06 the time now. On this Sunday Fun Day, I am your host, Randall White, joined by the ever-so-talented Patty Pyburn. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning.
And this is California's #1 place to talk about current trends in food, beverages, travel, and tourism. It is our goal, our heartfelt goal, Patty, right? Each week to give you the tools you need to enjoy all of California's bounty in a healthy, sustainable, and we hope community-focused manner. This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by Eberly Winery in Paso Robles, open daily from 10 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night with complimentary, that's so key, complimentary wine tasting and cave tours, voted by Wine Spectator as one of the best on the entire Central Coast. Eberly Winery is located on 46 East in Paso Robles. So whether you're coming from the north, down 101, or from the south, it is the exit you would take to head into the Central Valley, and then it's on your left-hand side. Just a really short drive, a few miles. Log on to eberlywinery.com. That's E-B-E-R-L-E winery.com. All right, straight ahead on this hour of the program, we're discussing this past week's big scientific discovery on how exactly red meats, really all meats, go about leading to heart disease and strokes. Oh, boy.
It's a better understanding. There's always been that connection. Yeah. But now there's more scientific understanding of what exactly the connection is and why.
Well, we've always lumped cholesterol as being a bad thing. And recently I've heard several voices out there in the scientific community saying, well, high cholesterol levels aren't necessarily bad, and now it makes sense why that might be. It's how your body deals with the cholesterol and a chemical found in the meat. All right. Also, we head into Earth Day this coming Saturday. It's worth a note that green tea may help lead to one day producing sustainable biofuels. And our travel and tourism segment takes us to the Earth Day Food and Wine Festival. That should be fun. Then next hour, we delve into California's newly declared state vegetable. Do you know what it is, Patty?
I do not know.
Well, we'll keep that a secret.
Okay, and then, I'll be surprised.
This season, well, I'll tell you, it's the artichoke. The season is just getting underway. We'll learn the history, how to pick them, the different kinds, also a bit on the Castroville Artichoke Festival coming next month. Then the final half hour of the show, we're speaking with chef and editorial director of America's Test Kitchen on PBS, Mr. Jack Bishop joins us.
Very nice.
About my new favorite cookbook, The Science of Good Cooking. Let me
and
tell you.
It must be your favorite cookbook because I said I'd like to take a look at that, and I haven't seen it yet.
I'm hiding it.
It's still in his clutches.
It's under my desk here, and it goes home with me today. So, but right now, Miss Pyburn, it is time for something we like to call the news, and this is something called tap dancing. I'm tap dancing until Patty plays the music that we all know and love so well.
And I'm clicking it. There we go.
There we go.
Just clicking away over here.
Take it away, Miss Pyburn.
All right, on this Sunday morning from the Eat, Drink, Explore news desk, we're looking at our stories that we are following. A group of Yosemite tourists are recovering from injuries as a result of a bus crash last night south of the park. This is according to the Fresno Bee. The bus came to rest on a tree. That's what kept it from plunging the rest of the way down a ravine along Highway 41. Sounds scary. The Highway Patrol says 16 people, most of them elderly, have mild to moderate injuries, and the only person not injured was the driver. It kind of frightens me. I'm one of those people a little bit paranoid about things like that. And you think you're off on a nice trip on a tour bus, and then the worst possible thing happens.
It always surprises me that you don't have to wear a seatbelt on buses. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's the. I think that argument has gone back and forth with school buses as well, and I don't totally understand the thinking behind it because right now it's not required. No. So, very scary. All right, the newly relocated Exploratorium will open its doors this week along San Francisco's waterfront after more than 4 decades at the Palace of Fine Arts.
Have you ever taken Dresden and Quill into the Exploratorium?
Not to this one, but what's the museum in Chicago that's similar?
Oh, right.
Why can't I think of the name of it?
The Museum of Science and Industry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another cool place.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Exploratorium's awesome. I grew up going to it.
I've heard about it. We haven't been, but the Hands-On Science Museum is now housed in a restored warehouse at Pier 15. That's midway between Fisherman's Wharf and the Ferry Plaza. The new location is 3 times larger than the previous space, allowing for many more child-friendly exhibits. Mm-hmm. The new Exploratorium is opening to the public on Wednesday.
It's also in an area where that has more traffic.
More people are going to have access to it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a fishing boat, possibly from Japan's big tsunami back in 2011, washed up on a California beach. If it is verified as actual tsunami debris, it will mark the first piece to land here in the Golden State. The boat washed ashore near Crescent City, just south of the Oregon border, and that is one of the places that was really hit hardest by that tsunami.
So it sort of makes sense that that's the path that something might take.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. We'll have to see what happens with that. Several cleanup opportunities next Saturday to take part in Coastal Cleanup Day. The Earth Day activities are scheduled in Santa Cruz and Monterey counties through the Save Our Shores group. And to find the event nearest you, you can email cleanup@saveourshores.org. And there probably are cleanup activities you can get involved in just about anywhere you live in California.
I did a quick search this morning, and I didn't find anything for San Luis Obispo or Santa Barbara counties, but I'm sure they're there.
Yeah.
San Francisco, San Mateo counties, I'm sure as well. And then there's riverways and such too, wherever you live in the state.
The cleanups aren't strictly at the shore. They do start inland because a lot of the problems start more inland.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if more debris from the tsunami was found after next weekend, when people are really
out there searching for it.
Yeah,
What's the group here locally? Is it EcoSlow?
EcoSlow in San Luis Obispo.
They do constant cleanups locally. You can join up with them. You don't have to wait for the once a year thing. It's an ongoing effort that they do. So
yeah, and I think they're ecoslow.org or something. I'll look it up while you're reading
the
story.
So a giant tuna recall is underway after hundreds of people from 28 states fell sick, sending more than 50 people to the hospital. 8 of those illnesses were right here in California. Nearly 60,000 pounds of frozen raw tuna is now being recalled by Moon Marine USA, that's based in Cupertino. Is right. The fish is scraped from the backs of tuna. Somehow that doesn't sound appetizing right now. It's used for sushi products.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says this outbreak appears to be over, but several more cases may be reported in the coming weeks as they're recalling that product.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Drink Up. U.S. beer has long been a source of jokes for the British until recently. It appears the craft beer movement of the past couple of decades is now influencing brewers in the UK.
I love it.
Yeah, according to the BBC, and I took a glance at that article, Randall, it's lengthy, but wow, good information in that.
For sure.
Not only are these tasty microbrews from here in the States changing recipes in London and other European cities, the beer has become fashionable. Ooh. Hipster, I think, is the word.
Yes, no, it's funny. It's really funny because when I was managing breweries in California and Colorado back in the early 90s, it was the complete opposite.
Right.
I even went over to London at the time, and everyone was like, "Oh, your beer over there, it's awful." I'm like, well, you don't understand. We have these little microbreweries. They'll do something one day.
Well, apparently U.S. exports are on the rise.
I love it. Patty, we'll get to the forecast after the commercial break. The time right now is 8:14, rapidly approaching the quarter after the hour mark. I'm your host, Randall White, Patty Pyburn with the news there, and we're back in just a moment to talk about the study related to meat and cholesterol. Back in Randall White here, host of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, with a tip for Central Coast wine tasting. Eberly Winery was recently voted Winery of the Year by the world's top sommeliers and has one of the best local tours according to Wine Spectator. Eberly Winery open daily 10 to 6, and the winery's cave tours and wine tasting always complimentary. It's easy to find, too. Located on Highway 46 East, just 3.5 miles from Highway 101. Now it's time to plan your visit. Just head to eberlywinery.com.
Seems everybody's going organic, including lawn care. Did you know communities across the country are converting their lawns, playgrounds, and playing fields to an organic care program? And it's working. You can safely control weeds and pests and have a beautiful lawn. Your kids, pets, and water supplies will be safer, and your neighbors will be green with envy. Oh, and in the long run, organic lawn care is cheaper than doing it the conventional way. Switch to organic lawn care today. Visit pesticidefreelawns.org. The folks who brought you this public service message. Check out pesticidefreelawns.org today.
California business owners, entrepreneurs, farmers, authors, and other professionals, this message is for you. We're looking to highlight those of you who give back to the community, care about the environment, and have the health of our state as part of your business model or focus. Our new California Love website is in the beta testing phase. So, during the next few months, we're offering free listings to qualified people or business entities. It's a win-win situation. You help populate our site with quality, locally owned California companies, and we help direct customers to your business or product. Simply head over to CALUV.com. That's CA as in California, LUV as in a cute way to spell love.com, and enter the information for your business today. Why wouldn't you? It's easy and it's free. CALUV.com, the California Love Business Recommendation Tool. The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience. Now the time here on the 8:19, the time on this Sunday morning. Great to have you joining us. Hopefully your morning is off to a good start so far. And I realize you haven't had a lot of time to have anything good or bad happen at this point, but we hope it's all been good. Nice blue skies here where we broadcast in San Luis Obispo. Should be an okay day here, actually, near perfect when most people consider the low 70s to be the absolute best, most comfortable temperature, and that's exactly what we have on tap here. However, cool for most of the state, cooler down in LA, cooler up north. And what's the rest of the forecast, Miss Pyburn, Patty Pyburn?
Well, Randall, since you asked, it will be in the 60s today, but into the 70s as we hit midweek. Getting very warm in some places like San Luis Obispo, where we could see a 79 or 80, and even San Francisco could warm up that much.
Wow.
In the LA area, as you mentioned, not as nice, a little cloudy, possible rain through tomorrow for the LA area. And
It never rains in Southern California. Wasn't there a song about that?
That's what I've heard. It is going to warm up in the southern portion of the state as well, even seeing some low 80s by the end of the week.
Yeah, and little shout out to my parents who live in the Sacramento area, near 90 degrees by next weekend.
Jeez Louise.
But they're used to that. They got, the blood thins out this time of year for they're like, no, it doesn't. My mom's always, whenever I talk to her on the phone, oh, I wish it was the temperature you have there right now.
Yeah.
During the summertime. So it was actually, speaking of my parents, they were the ones who turned me on to this story that we're going to discuss now. There was a new study that was published in the journal Nature back on April 7th, so exactly 1 week ago. Not in time for our show last week, but we've had all week to hear news reports on this, and I've listened to several different interviews. I wanted to get a good understanding of this because it really... we know sometimes things are bad for us, but we don't know exactly why.
Right.
And this is the big key to the reason why not just red meat, but meat in general is bad for us. And it turns out that meats that have more of a red tinge to them, beef, steak, or I almost said beef steak.
Beef, steak,
tri-tip,
hamburger.
Beef, duck.
The darker meats, red meats. They include lamb. Even venison was included in it.
Yeah, so any of the meats that are on the darker side have more of these, what do they call them? I'm looking at L-carnitine. L-carnitine, thank you. Which basically there's a process inside your gut that turns things into it turns something known as TMA into something called TMAO that then gets into your blood system and helps the plaque stick to the walls of your arteries.
And basically, the L-carnitine is something that our body makes, and we make enough of it to satisfy what we need to survive without supplementing it. And I think some people do have a notion that you should supplement it because you can buy supplements with L-carnitine in it.
Isn't that funny?
Right. So this really flies in the face of that thinking, saying we do not need to supplement L-carnitine into our diet. And if we do, this whole series, like a domino effect, happens.
You know how I feel about supplements in general.
Yes.
Snake oil. But I'll tell you, what I found fascinating about the study is they took groups of omnivores, and then they also took groups of vegetarians and vegans. They had to have been vegetarian and vegan for at least a year.
Right.
And what they found is they don't... so basically you have all these...
Microbes,
little
bugs.
Yeah, these communities. That's the word I was looking for. Communities living in your gut, in your intestines. I know it seems disgusting, but
it's what helps you process your food. We need help with that.
We have to have it. And so you have all these things living in your gut, and what colonies you have living greatly depends on what you're eating, because the components of what you're eating are what feed these colonies.
Right. So what you feed survives, and what you starve dies off. And so you can kind of determine, if you know what you should be eating, you can determine what's living and helping you digest your food in the proper way.
Yeah. So they found that the vegetarians and vegans, if they ate basically meat, they didn't give them meat, they gave them supplements.
They gave them L-carnitine supplements.
That their bodies didn't handle it the same way that an omnivore's body would handle it.
Right.
It actually, just passed.
It was a healthier response. It just went through. It didn't make the bad component that leads to the buildup of plaque in the arteries.
The TMAO.
But they don't know what would happen if that vegan continued to add the L-carnitine into the diet. Then over time, they don't know how long that resistance would last. Like maybe they would turn back into the situation that people who are omnivores have. Yeah,
I thought the same thing when I heard that.
That hasn't been looked at yet.
I was wondering how often you could, since I am...
You could cheat.
Right, since I'm a flexitarian.
Yeah.
If you listened to our show, was that last weekend? When we had the flexitarian diet discussed, I've decided that that's what I am. I'm like 99% now of the time vegetarian. But I was wondering what percentage on the other side can I...
How many times can you cheat? How often can you cheat before you slide back into that problem? So, and basically what it is the microbes that break down that process the carnitine in your digestion system make a gas. The scientist we were listening to said it smells like rotten fish.
Yeah.
Good thing we don't have to.
Dr. Hazen
Yes.
from the Cleveland Clinic. He's
Yeah.
the author of the study. And I actually spoke with his main person yesterday, and he really wanted to be on the show today. But as you can imagine, he's had a pretty hectic week.
With the release of the study.
He's more than happy to come on in subsequent weeks, so we might hear from him. But yeah, Dr. Hazen was saying it smells like rotting fish.
Right. So then that is then converted through going through your liver into the TMAO, and that byproduct is what triggers this whole process with the cholesterol to start storing it in your arteries, which is obviously not what you want.
So cholesterol in your system is not necessarily a bad thing, but when it interacts with this TMAO, which sounds like the name of a band or something, doesn't it? Or something you'd say at the end of a Facebook post.
Yes, exactly.
If LMAO is laughing my fanny off, then what would TMAO be?
Talking.
Talking, what we do every Sunday.
Yes.
So, so anyway, when it interacts with this TMAO, that's when cholesterol becomes a bad thing.
Exactly.
So,
it's what your body does with the cholesterol that it has.
we just keep learning more and more and more as to how our body interacts with the different foods that we eat and exercise and it's like we have this base knowledge. We know exercise is good. Why is exercise good?
Exactly.
We know that eating lots of plant-based foods is a good thing, but why? And we just keep learning about the little components that work together with our bodies.
And so really, no surprise, people have long made the connection with eating a lot of red meat is not healthy for you, and it was connected to heart disease and all of those things. Those were all known, but this is the first time we've really understood why. And they did so many different tests, including animal trials with the vegans and all of those things. They really looked at it in a lot of different ways to secure up their understanding.
It just dawned on me that under our program summary at eatdrinkexplore.com, I do not have a link to the journal Nature and the article
yet.
But during the commercial break, I am that fast.
Okay.
I'm going to put a link there. So if you log on during the commercial break, if you log on to eatdrinkexplore.com and you want to read more about this study, and it's not there yet, just refresh your browser because it'll be there within minutes, and you just want to go to the radio section of our go to the program summaries for the Sunday Funday show, and it'll be right there for you. All right, Miss Pyburn. So after the break, we are. Where are we headed? I gotta pull up our rundown. Oh yeah, we're headed to UC Davis, as a matter of fact, to learn about how green tea. So you've heard about algae, right? How algae can create biofuel.
Yes.
But they've been wanting to sort of ramp up its ability. Well, we're all drinking green tea here this morning, and it's sort of ramped us up a little. Apparently, it has the same effect on
algae.
On algae's ability to create this biofuel. It's such a cool study out of UC Davis. We will talk to Dr. Annalise France about her research and how that may play out for all of us in the future. And then we learn all about the Earth Day Food and Wine Festival coming up as well. Back in just a moment. California business owners, entrepreneurs, farmers, authors, and other professionals, this message is for you. We're looking to highlight those of you who give back to the community, care about the environment, and have the health of our state as part of your business model or focus. Our new California Love website is in the beta testing phase. So, during the next few months, we're offering free listings to qualified people or business entities. It's a win-win situation. You help populate our site with quality, locally owned California companies, and we help direct customers to your business or product. Simply head over to CALUV.com. That's CA as in California, LUV as in a cute way to spell love.com, and enter the information for your business today. Why wouldn't you? It's easy and it's free. CALUV.com, the California Love Business Recommendation Tool.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. Other groundbreaking ideas from that time: the whalebone corset, the pedal-operated submarine, and the two-story outhouse. We've come a long way since then. It's time our light bulbs did the same. Visit EnergySavers.gov and learn about energy-saving light bulbs. See, these new bulbs are more efficient than the old ones, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. They last longer, too, like how we humans last longer now that doctors use antibiotics instead of leeches. And they cut down on our energy costs, because in our own groundbreaking age of aeroplanes and moving pictures, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience. .33 now the time here on this Sunday morning. I'm your host, Randall White. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network, coming to you live every single Sunday morning. In fact, we've been on the air now for more than a year, and we've never not had a live program each week, which is pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah, I'm joined by Patty Pyburn. Occasionally we'll have like a best of. We've had one best of show. Was that like
a compilation?
Is that like New Year's or Christmas or
one of those days?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, something like that.
Something in there.
Not Thanksgiving.
But I was still in here and I was doing live introductions of each piece. And
yeah, you were still here manning the
the mic.
Yes, that was like what do we have here?
Manning the
studio.
So it is what, April 14th already?
Yes, it is.
And tax day is
Yikes.
Mañana, por la mañana, tomorrow.
For all you procrastinators out there.
Yeah, you got to get that thing in the mail. And it's okay to file an extension. You just have to do it so you don't get the penalty.
Yeah, just like doing your taxes, you have to do it. That's the key.
And just guess, like overpay, and then
you'll get it back later.
Great to have you with us, everyone. It is time to talk about what I have long found to be exceptionally interesting. Ever since I was a little kid, I've tried to think of ways that we could have some sort of renewable energy, because you're very impressionable when you're young, and
right.
When I must have been at a very impressionable age when we had the fuel crisis in the United States. It was in the 70s, and we had odd even days that you'd have to line up at the gas stations, right. And that was when President Jimmy.
It seemed a little doomsday-ish.
It did very much so,
Yeah.
you know, and that was when President Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House that were then taken down in subsequent years, sadly. But I thought it was great, and it really spurred me. I don't know if my teachers were behind it or what, but I've always been thinking we
Right.
have to solve this somehow. So several years ago, I heard about the concept of using algae because algae actually produces certain types of algae produce this oil that's very usable. And
if you've ever had a problem with your pool or jacuzzi, you know how fast algae can do its thing. So it's very prolific.
I know what Patty's talking about.
Yes.
Her jacuzzi that's right there under the deck.
You mean the frog pond?
The frog pond, yes. It's a science experiment of
Yes.
your own. Perhaps you should pour some green tea in there, according to this new study that came out from UC Davis, the Bioenergy Research Center there. If there was other than the wine portion of UC Davis, if there was any department I'd want to spend a couple of days learning more.
This would be it.
Yeah, the Bioenergy Research Center. And we are now speaking with Dr. Annalise Franz, who joins us on the VIP line this morning. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Randall. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, we're very excited to have you on. As you probably just heard, I think this is just your study is so awesome that we've maybe found a channel to make this this use of algae producing. Well, how would you say that? Oil-producing algae.
There you go.
Maybe ramp it up a little bit. And what made you and your team consider using green tea? And it's not the caffeine in the green tea, right, that causes this reaction?
No, it's a family of molecules called catechins, and this specific molecule is one that we find in green tea as well as occasionally in chocolate and other places, but it's known to have some biological effects. So our studies had focused on increasing the amount of oils from algae, and I hate to break it to you, but the algae in your jacuzzi doesn't produce much oil.
Darn.
Oh, Patty.
Darn it.
And so this does require naturally available algae, but ones that are a little bit more viable for commercial strains. So we knew that this oil could be produced by algae and converted to diesel, but we really wanted to think about how we could increase the production to make it cheaper, because really the interest in this is to make it economically viable, so we can try to think about alternative energy solutions. So we thought about this as a biological molecule and thought amongst some other molecules to see what it would do in the presence of our algae.
And so currently, are there any operating facilities using this algae theory, or it's beyond a theory, but using algae as a oil producer right now here in California?
So there's a few companies that have started to look at this, and a lot of the options not only consider oils for alternative fuels, but for nutraceuticals, food, and health applications. So there's quite a few areas of interest, and I think the scale at which we have to pursue it for fuels is something that we're still ramping up towards, but it's definitely moving in that direction.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask, Annalise, is how would it, is there a notion yet how it would be harvested? Is it something that we could somehow get out of the ocean where algae is, doing its thing? Or would it have to be done in some controlled environment somewhere?
There's definitely still questions about that in the research, but one of the advantages of algae is that it can grow in salt water, so you can avoid having to use a lot of land that would be competitive against different food crops. So we can take advantage of the photosynthesis, the fact that all we're using is sun and the carbon dioxide from the air to actually create this oil in, as you pointed out earlier, a very rapid time frame. But we do need to think about how the engineering and the chemistry is going to come together to really make this a solution.
And so the tea helps, does it speed up the algae, or it speeds up the oil production?
So it tends to allow the growth to pursue at a good rate while also producing the oil within the algae. Because this molecule, we don't understand exactly how it's having its effects. Now we'd like to pursue that. But it seems to be kind of like a vitamin boost or a happy pill, maybe, in terms of keeping that algae growing at a good rate while not making it too skinny. We want to have it nice and fat with all that oil.
Yeah. What's the quality of the oil? You know, you have different levels of petroleum. You've got the tar sands that you really have to go through a lot of work to make it something that we can eventually then put into our automobiles or whatever. And then you have like the sweet premium crude, you know, that comes out of Saudi Arabia and places like that. What's the quality of the oil produced by this algae?
Well, the oils we're producing can be converted into biodiesel, and this is typically very high-quality biodiesel that would be considered on par with the sweet crude oil. So one of the advantages may be that we can use it to prolong some of the existing oil supplies that aren't quite as high quality as we would want for some of our transportation needs.
So is one of the beneficial side effects of this whole algae process that it does take in the CO2? I mean, is that it's sort of cleaning the air while it's doing its thing?
Yeah, so it's a carbon-neutral process. It's actually going to allow you to use the carbon dioxide out of the air as opposed to releasing an old store from ancient oil production. However, it is carbon-neutral so that when you burn it, it will kind of reproduce that oil or carbon dioxide in a general cycle.
That's better than what we've got going on right now.
It's definitely better than what we've got, yeah.
I think that's fantastic. One thing that I noticed, and anyone watching our video simulcast right now at eatdrinkexplore.com will have seen some of the pictures that we're sort of going through here, is that is it an all-female team that worked on this?
I have a research team with 3 graduate students and 1 undergraduate student, and our undergraduate student is a male. But we had Megan Danielowitz, Diana Wong, and Lisa Anderson, who were really excited about this research based on both the environmental and alternative fuel aspects, as well as some of the really cool scientific questions that we get to ask about these algae pathways.
Is that a trend you're seeing at UC Davis? Many more women getting into the fields of science and maybe mathematics?
We're doing our best to recruit a lot of women into science, mathematics, and engineering, and I think a lot of these real-world problems like energy are really good at attracting students. Good. But we see that across the board. There's a lot of excitement for both the guys and the girls.
That's good to see. I like hearing that.
I like hearing that as well. Now, this compound that's in the tea, and you also said to some degree in chocolate, those seem like things that are also good for humans. You know, like, is this a chemical that we've found that works nice with our bodies as well?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few exciting studies, and it's not work that my lab is doing, but just in the literature and in other labs, looking at how there can be therapeutic and health effects for these types of catechin molecules. So it seems as if they do have good effects on regulating and keeping our cellular processes functioning the way they're supposed to be.
Catechin.
So, yeah, catechin. So, you know, if you're going to drink some green tea, it doesn't hurt to have a little dark chocolate with it at the same time.
We like hearing that.
I like that. So, green tea would be far... what I should ask is, can you produce catechins without growing green tea or making chocolate? Is that something you can make in a lab?
We can, but the natural production of this is just quite effective. So we started with a purified source of this catechin molecule that was basically purchased from a company. But what we'd really like to do now is think about if you either take over the leftover tea that you have after you make your tea in the morning, can we use that by adding it directly to the algae so we can take advantage of that natural source that's not purified, meaning we don't exactly know what's in there, but it can have the same effect on the algae pathways.
Well, that's interesting because companies like, I know Pete's Coffee does this, where they take the coffee grounds.
I was thinking the same thing. People are using coffee grounds for all kinds of things after they've been used. This is great if you found a use for the tea after its use.
Tea, coffee grounds, we think that there might be options there, because then it's going to be even more renewable if someone else has already used it and kind of discarded it.
I love the research.
I know. What is not to love about all of this? It's amazing. How much oil do you know yet? So algae are obviously little tiny things. That's probably not scientifically what they are, but they're little tiny things. How much oil do they make?
They make anywhere from 20 to 80% of their cell mass.
Oh.
So if you think about one little microorganism cell, it's producing anywhere from 20 to 80% of its cell mass as oil.
And using these...
Really,
go ahead.
We really want to take the ones that are only producing 20 to 30% and bring them up to that 80% mark.
That's what I was going to say. The catechins are
Give
helping
them a boost.
Push it
right.
up. Dr. Anneliese Franz with the UC Davis Bioenergy Research Center. Thank you for updating us and continued success with your work.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Stick around, everyone. We're talking Earth Day right after this. Randall White here, host of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, with a tip for Central Coast wine tasting. Eberly Winery was recently voted Winery of the Year by the world's top sommeliers and has one of the best local tours according to Wine Spectator. Eberly Winery open daily 10 to 6, and the winery's cave tours and wine tasting always complimentary. It's easy to find, too. Located on Highway 46 East, just 3.5 miles from Highway 101. Now it's time to plan your visit. Just head to eberlywinery.com.
Hello, this is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I want to tell you about my new favorite discovery, Yosemite National Park. I recently went there with my husband and children, and we walked the trails to see the breathtaking waterfalls, admired the grand meadows, and giant sequoias. But the future of our national parks is uncertain. Many challenges face our parks today, from polluted air and water to development threats outside their borders and inadequate funding to protect our national heritage. That's why the National Parks Conservation Association recently completed a decade-long assessment of the challenges facing our national parks, along with proposed actions that will ensure our children and grandchildren will be able to enjoy the parks as we have. Our national parks have inspired Americans for nearly 100 years. As we approach the centennial of the National Park Service in 2016, please join us in helping to protect our national park legacy. Find out how at www.mpca.org.
Randall White here, host of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, with a tip for Central Coast wine tasting. Eberly Winery was recently voted Winery of the Year by the world's top sommeliers and has one of the best local tours according to Wine Spectator. Eberly Winery open daily 10 to 6, and the winery's cave tours and wine tasting always complimentary. It's easy to find, too. Located on Highway 46 East, just 3.5 miles from Highway 101. Now it's time to plan your visit. Just head to eberlywinery.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience.
You waited all week, and it's finally here. The Eat, Drink, Explore Weekly Travel Deals Extravaganza.
And welcome back to the program. 8:49 now the time on this Sunday morning, April the 14th. We are less than a week away from Earth Day, which is held each and every year on April 20th. And this year it falls on a Saturday. Do I have that right? It's always on the 20th? Or are we just doing it on the 20th? I need to look it up now. I think that's the case. It came out of my mouth, and then I realized, wait a minute, I might be way off on that. But okay, I know who can tell us, and that is Chris Beal with the Central Coast Vineyard team. She is the woman behind a lot of eco efforts on the Central Coast and beyond, and the Earth Day Food and Wine Festival that will indeed be held Saturday, April the 20th at Pomar Junction in Templeton. Chris, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Do I have that right? Earth Day is always on the 20th, right?
Well, actually, Earth Day typically falls at different days of the week, but we pick a date on a weekend because that just seems more fitting.
Okay.
I see.
But it is in April every year.
I should know better because...
I'm looking at earthday.org, so I'll have more information in a moment.
Oh, yes. Patty's always good about this, Chris. She researches while we talk. She is my right-hand woman, and I could not... seriously do the show without her. So, Chris, what's new and exciting this year?
Gosh, we're so excited. You know, this is the 7th annual Earth Day Food and Wine Festival, and we couldn't be more pleased with how this event has evolved and the community support. We have such an amazing lineup of chefs, restaurants, farmers, and wineries that all get together sort of around this concept of Earth Day and kind of the environmental side of, you know, food and wine and cuisine. And it's really amazing. It's got a very kind of casual vibe, yet it's very high quality. You know, every year, you know, they sort of trump each other and try to get the next best dish out there for people. And you know, a couple things are really unique about this event is we have it's a 1-to-1 food to wine ratio.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. Deep pause, right?
Yeah.
And,
I like that.
Yeah, and so, you know, very high quality, lots of it. And, you know, this event isn't very crowded. So, you know, you're not gonna wait in line to wait. You're not gonna be sort of, you know, elbowing through the crowds. We have a really beautiful venue and a beautiful layout out in the vineyard at Pomar Junction Vineyards and Wineries. So
that's a great location. You weren't always there, right? You started at Santa Margarita Ranch and then moved to Pomar Junction?
Well, we even had one before Santa Margarita Ranch, but we move it every few years. It's, you know, kind of fun for the visitors. It's fun for us as organizers to be able to try something different. We're always, you know, we're a farmer group. You know, the vineyard team is a farmer group, and this is our really only, you know, consumer-focused event. And, you know, the whole idea was that, you know, we're doing all this really great work in terms of sustainability, and we know that there are other people out there doing this great work, and we know that there are community members that care about this work. And so it was, you know, a kind of a funny opportunity to pull all of these things together around the spirit of Earth Day and around the spirit of food and wine to celebrate farmers, because, like, what's more earthy than farmers, right?
It's true. The next, you know, beyond the whole Earth Day Food and Wine Festival, Chris was saying that, you know, they're a group of farmers and such. The next time you buy a bottle of wine, look at the label, and if you see SIP, SIP, on it. That means it is SIP certified, which means sustainability in practice, and that is the core of your whole project, right, Chris?
Well, and that's one of many things that we do, and we're in our 6th year of the SIP certification program, and it was the natural evolution to sort of develop an independent third-party sustainable certification. We've been at this sustainability path, you know, since the mid-90s and before sort of the S word was cool. But yeah, right now there's over 800,000 cases of wine that actually have the SIP seal on it.
Wow.
And it's very exciting. The program continues to grow. There are 30,000 statewide acres that are certified, you know, 800,000 cases of wine that carry the seal. And what we find is that people really appreciate kind of the green and the eco side of this sustainability certification because it addresses the whole farm and energy and soils and water, but it also addresses the people side. And, you know, and what we find is that people really care and they want to support companies that are taking good care of the environment and their workers.
And it's nice that you are making that easy for people who want to do that and support that by putting that little mark, the SIP mark on the label. That's good to hear.
Right.
Okay, just to let you guys know, April 22nd is Earth Day. It was decided back in 1970. That was the first Earth Day. But depending on where that falls in the week, a lot of the activities associated with Earth Day will, as Chris was saying, happen on the weekend. So more people can get involved.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
That is bravo. Patty. So the Pomar Junction there is such a great venue for it. I love the fact, one of the reasons that sometimes I don't go to like food and wine festivals is I don't like that crowded feeling where everyone's jammed
elbow to
elbow and waiting in line for a little tiny sample and that sort of thing.
And that carrot stick.
Right, exactly. And that is not the situation there at the Earth Day Food and Wine Festival because of the venue. The other thing that I like that you've used as a slogan, I don't know, for 1 or 2 years now, is no tie-dye required, because Earth Day's moved beyond a fringe movement.
Well, and that's such a great point, because, when I first started this, I remember being on the radio 7 years ago, and people were like, well, what does Earth Day have to do with food and wine? And seriously, people asked me, they said, well, are people going to be wearing tie-dye? Are they going to be getting naked and jumping into the pond?
Not that would be bad, but...
there was this whole idea of Earth Day being, sort of this hippie thing. But what I love about this event is that people come to it from all backgrounds, all ages. Everybody's trying to tread a little bit lighter, and I think of sort of conservation. I think of my grandma, and she was not a hippie, but she had, buckets to collect water in her showers, and she would water her plants with it. She was the original recycler before there were blue bins, and, there are lots of different ways to sort of do this and to care about it. And if you want to wear tie-dye, that's totally cool. But, tie-dye is not required.
Nice to know.
Yes.
The tent is getting bigger.
Yes. Have you ever thought of expanding, like you were saying, it's a 1-to-1 food ratio, or food and wine ratio at this event. Have you ever thought of expanding your certification for food products? We produce so many food products in California. Have you thought of a label similar to the SIP certified that could go on food packaging?
Yeah, we've definitely been approached by, different farmers and different ag groups. It's certainly something that we're open to, and we're a small but mighty group, but
best kind.
We're sort of, we want to make the world a better place, so we'll see if something like that happens.
All right, Chris Beals, Central Coast Vineyard Team. Check out the Earth Day Food and Wine Festival. It's so easy, earthdayfoodandwine.com. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, stick around, everyone. A great hour coming up. This next hour, we are learning about the science of really good cooking is the last half of the show. And then we're also talking about California's new state vegetable, the artichoke. One of my favorites. I actually have 2 at home on the counter right now. I'm going to try to get a recipe out of this woman who will be joining us. Stick around, everyone. We're back in a moment. The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Fabulous.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
Good morning, Crush 92.5 listeners. Great to have you with us here on this Sunday morning. As our friend Kira Clapper there just mentioned, I am Randall White, joined by Patty Pyburn. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, Kira there was one of our coworkers for a while.
One of my favorites at
absolute
KCOY.
Favorites. Yes, when I was at KCOY and Kira was at KCOY. Kira is now all over the news up in the Bay Area on ABC7 if you want to check her out there. She's constantly being put on some of the top stories up in the Bay Area. I love that they're utilizing her to that level. She works side by side with Katie Marzullo, another person that we worked with at KCOY.
And
Kira.
our very own Dave Alley, who is on the Central Coast News mornings. You can see him from Santa Cruz all the way down to Ventura. I was just visiting up there and got to see both of them doing the news together, and he was like, "Oh, it's so much fun to see them."
Yeah, I follow them. I'm very good friends with Kira.
Yes,
and I'm still friends with Katie as well. I just don't hear from her as often.
They're busy.
They're super busy. Oh my gosh! But it's so great to see their level of success, and I wish them only the best. And we love that Kira's the voice of the show each and every week. All right, 9:01 now the time. This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you by the very fine folks at Eberly Winery in Paso Robles. You can find them open. Their doors are open daily. So you don't even have to sweat it. If you're wondering, are they open? They're open 10 until 6 with complimentary wine tasting and cave tours. So if you have empty pockets, you can still go in there and at least sample their wine, and then return at a later date to buy a bottle. Voted by Wine Spectator as one of the best tours on the entire Central Coast, Eberly Winery is located on 46 East in Paso Robles. That's the drive toward the Central Valley. They're on the left-hand side. Log on to eberlewinery.com, EBERLE winery.com. Patty, you seem busy at work over there.
Well, I was just waiting to say. So a former viewer, Jeffrey Locke, who used to wake up to you and I on the morning news when we were a team, says he's living in Palm Springs and he misses us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I was just sending him a little Facebook note saying, go to Eat, Drink, Explore right now, and you can join us on the radio, and you don't have to miss us.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I was just sending that off to him, hoping maybe he's listening right at this moment. Maybe he clicked on, and we'll see.
Yeah, Jeffrey, if you did, we miss you too.
Yes.
Now that we know.
We miss you back.
Right. In fact, we have several viewers in the Palm Springs area. Mm-hmm. In fact, whenever we check our analytics, Google Analytics kind of shows you who's been on your site and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We have a pretty strong contingent there. We'd like to get on the radio in Palm Springs, so Jeffrey would be able to tune in that way.
Right.
But right now we're here on Crush 92.5 FM in San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties, and in just a minute or so, we'll be on our other station, KSCO AM 1080, up in the Santa Cruz, Monterey, and Silicon Valley areas as well. So that's so cool that you were able to
that was nice.
Jeffrey that way. So, all right. Well, just after the commercial break, which is coming up in just a heartbeat here, we will be talking about California's newest state vegetable. You know how we have all kinds of state things, like the state flower is the
There's a state
poppy.
Everything, right? We have a state
I
rock, tree,
right. Yeah,
song.
There is state rock. Yeah, and the song's a really odd one. It's super odd. I don't think anybody's ever heard it. They need some of those things need to be updated. But in a state that is so big on agriculture, it's shocking to me that we didn't have a state vegetable, fruit, nut, or grain. But now we do.
We do now. Because that is, you would think we would have that.
Yeah. So we'll be discussing the vegetable. We'll probably hit the other ones in subsequent weeks, but we'll be talking the vegetable just because we're starting that season right now, artichoke season, and we will hit that coming up in just a moment. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. Hey, farmers market fans, listen up because we're launching a new show just for you. Join the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network each Thursday evening from 5:30 to 6 for a healthy dose of recipe sharing and food news. We broadcast our show live from the historic downtown San Luis Obispo Farmers Market, but the information shared is designed for anyone who has a love of fresh, seasonal produce and locally made artisan treats. So whether your favorite market is located at San Francisco's Ferry Plaza in downtown Santa Monica, or if you're simply a member of a CSA, you'll love our weekly Market Fresh, available live each Thursday evening at eatdrinkexplore.com. And if you missed the show, follow our updates on Facebook and Twitter for links to the recipes shared, video from the show, and other great information. Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh, helping perfect your California flavor.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network.
Fabulous.
Live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Amazing.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
Indeed. 9:06 the time here on this Sunday Funday morning. Great to have you with us, everyone. Welcome to the KSCO AM 1080 listeners, Santa Cruz, Monterey counties, and the beautiful Silicon Valley. Great to have you with us. Also, Crush 92.5 FM on the Central Coast, San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara counties. And Patty was commenting to me that we have some new viewers online at eatdrinkexplore.com via our video simulcast. That's,
Indeed.
Down that direction. And I failed to note in a previous segment, my cousin who watches every single week, he feeds our stream through his television on the wall, the big flat screen television. I don't know how he does that exactly, but
but that seems cool.
Yeah, Carlos Aquino. Carlos, if you're watching right now, hopefully Ricardo and I will get down to Palm Springs and see you soon.
I'm just jealous of people who say they live in Palm Springs because it sounds like they're permanently on vacation, and I want to be at least part-time on vacation.
You're not too jealous in July and August.
This is true. That is true.
But we love to meet up with Carlos at a place called Wang's in the Desert, our favorite Chinese restaurant down there. It's absolutely delicious. All right, good day, everyone. You've made it to California's #1 place to talk about current trends in food, beverages, travel, and tourism, so you can get the most out of the bounty that California has to offer here. And coming up on this hour of the program, we are speaking with chef and editorial director of America's Test Kitchen on PBS, Jack Bishop, about my new favorite cookbook, The Science of Good Cooking. It's really great the way that they break down this book into, it's more than a couple of dozen concepts about everything from like searing your meat to...
And is that good or bad? Will we find out?
We will find out.
You sear? To sear or not to sear?
To sear or not to sear. Do you sear so that you, quote unquote, seal in the juices?
Right, that's the notion, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the notion. Wait till you hear the response.
Oh, can't wait to hear it.
But first, we want to chat a bit about Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom's declarations this past week. I don't know if you heard about this, but while the governor was in China, Governor Brown was in China,
yes.
Newsom declared an official state fruit, vegetable, nut, and grain.
So I just went to Wikipedia because you mentioned that to see, and they haven't updated it yet because some of those things get updated immediately.
Well,
it has not yet been updated, but there are interesting things here on what the other state items are. But
I contacted the Lieutenant Governor's office on Thursday before our Market Fresh show on Crush, and the woman who answered the phone was like well aware of it, so I didn't feel like I was asking something that was completely off base. I did ask for them to get back to me on it, and they never did, but I just figured it was like his busy office, kind of thing. And I've found several news articles on it. It all stemmed from KGO Radio up in San Francisco, had kind of posed the question, why don't we have
a state vegetable or fruit?
Yeah, so he declared it on their air, and on their Facebook page, there was like an official declaration posted.
Wow.
So I'm going with it at this point. if you know otherwise, let us know. radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. But at any rate, this is the going story.
We're going with it.
Okay, the official fruit, the avocado. A lot of people think of that as a vegetable, but it is indeed a fruit, not the wine grape or the strawberry, so sorry, folks. We produce 90% of the national output, with orchards located coastally from Monterey County through San Diego County. Wow. It used to be San Luis Obispo County through San Diego County, but a few avocado orchards have popped up in Monterey County. 60% of the Hass avocados are grown in San Diego County. As for the state nut, any guesses, Patty?
Well, I would think almond. That's
you got it.
That was good because that's what we make so much of.
100% of the nation's almond crop. Chico Redding area, making it our third largest money crop. And then the state grain is rice. We're the second largest producing state behind Arkansas. And the newest official state vegetable, the artichoke. And joining us on the line to talk more about this news is Pat Hopper, California Artichoke Advisory Board. Pat, perhaps you can clarify for us. That is everything we said is right?
Well, I believe it is right. However, artichokes were voted the official food, and Lieutenant Governor Newsom, in deference to a lot of the other commodities, decided that we would be the official vegetable.
Oh.
So we're satisfied with vegetable. We think that it really suits California because artichokes are sort of, tough looking on the outside, strong, but really have a great heart on the inside. So
I love that.
That's true. Are you still on a regular basis encountering people who don't even know what an artichoke is?
I would say that 60% of the U.S. population doesn't know what an artichoke is.
Wow. That's amazing to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oftentimes they confuse it with the Jerusalem artichoke, which is a root vegetable.
Oh,
so we've got all kinds of confusion out there.
Interesting.
I'm someone that even hosts a farmer's market show, and I didn't realize that the Jerusalem artichoke and the artichoke were two different species. I mean, two different, completely different.
Wow.
They definitely are. Jerusalem artichokes are a root vegetable, sort of like a sunflower grows off them, and the root is the edible portion. It's an American vegetable, whereas artichokes were brought in by those romantic people like the Italians and the Spanish and, such as that. So
sure flourishes here, though.
Yes, we have that Mediterranean climate right along the central coast here, which is all that an artichoke needs. It doesn't need weather that's hot, and it doesn't need weather that's really cold. It doesn't need too much rain, doesn't need too much sun. It sort of likes that dull gray stuff that we have a lot of.
Perfect for where it grows in Watsonville and Castroville.
Exactly, for where it's thriving. Yeah. So now that it's been elevated to being the state vegetable, do you think this is going to have any influence over marketing and those kinds of things? Is it going to give the artichoke a boost?
Well, we certainly hope so. It's folks like you that are going to give it the boost.
Yeah.
We find a lot of interest in the fact that we've got an official vegetable. You did know that we were the official vegetable of Monterey County.
Oh, I assumed. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. That was done in about 1985. And so California's a little bit behind Monterey.
Yeah. Well, the artichoke, it's nothing new. I mean, Marilyn Monroe was the artichoke queen well before she even became a movie star. So that tells you it goes back quite some time.
Well, yes.
Right?
Yes, she was a starlet in 1948, and the artichoke growers, who know a good thing when they see it, decided
they're smart.
Decided that she would be perfect as an artichoke queen. Of course, little did we know that she was going to become the fantastic star that she did. And once again, we hitched it to the right star.
That was smart.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'll tell you this: Pat, we're going to have you stay on the line during the commercial break, and then we're going to talk about, because we're entering artichoke season, so we'll talk about how do you pick a good one.
And what do you do with it after you got it?
And then we'll talk a little bit about the big event coming up next month to celebrate the artichoke there in Monterey County. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. We're back in just a moment. All right, you know what? I forgot from last week
that we had this issue.
Yeah, and I apologize to our affiliates that we forgot to refill the commercial break during here. It does start up again in just less than a minute.
Okay,
but, we have to do a little tap dancing.
So should we have a quiz?
Yeah, quickly, Patty. What is the? You were asking me what's the state fish?
The state fish. Yes. Do you know?
Well, now I do. Golden trout.
Oh yeah, golden trout. Did I say that? Okay.
Yeah. I did only.
How about the state flower?
The California poppy.
Good. Mm-hmm. State folk dance.
The West Coast swing.
That's the state dance. The state folk dance is square dance.
In California?
We have two dances. What about the state rock?
The state rock is serpentine.
Yes.
It's actually, we call it serpentine, but it's a serpentinite is what I'm told by geologists.
Okay.
We always say it.
Do you know that we have a state fossil?
No. Yes.
Can you guess it?
Quick.
Saber-toothed cat.
Oh, that's right. And it was found outside of San Diego. I know that much. That's it, Patty. We're back in 2 minutes. The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience. Do you hear the bird chirping, Patty?
Tweet, tweet.
Tweet, tweet. Good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us. You are listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm your host, Randall White, joined by the lovely, talented Patty Pyburn. And speaking of tweeting, I highly recommend that you check out our Twitter feed, which grows constantly. We're almost at 2,500 followers now. It is real simple, twitter.com/eatdrinkexplore. And we don't just tweet our own things like some people do. We retweet things we think you'll find interesting from a wide variety of organizations, most of them here in California, some of them outside the state, but it's a rich source of information. So twitter.com/eatdrinkexplore. We think you'll like it. All right. 20 minutes now past the hour. We're talking artichokes, California artichokes, the official state vegetable now here in the state. And we're joined by Pat Hopper. She is with the California Artichoke Advisory Board. You can find them online, artichokes.org. Pat, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you very kindly.
Is there a... Oh, go ahead. You were going to say I just interrupted you.
I'm all set and ready to go.
Good.
Tell you about the.
We got lots of questions for you.
Yeah, I'm curious. Okay. Is there a trick to buying an artichoke? I always just look for the biggest one if they sell them. Like if it's $1 or $2 a piece, whatever. I always just look for the largest one. But should I be looking for something else, like coloring in the skin, the length of the stem, stuff like that?
Well, there are so many variables. It depends upon what you want to do with your artichoke. I, myself, prefer the artichokes of the smaller size because you can really work with those. You can trim them down to hearts very easily and also steam them like you would a big artichoke. So it depends upon what you want to do. Now, as to color, very often artichokes vary according to the time of the year because the sun affects them, what little we get of it, and it also makes the artichoke a different shape. In the spring, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the color. Sometimes you see some purple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll find more purple during the summer and early fall months with a green globe artichoke. Now there are other artichokes out there that are purple. There's a gorgeous purple artichoke out there, and it will never be green. I find that with the old-fashioned green globe artichoke, that's the one that was grown here and is grown here since the Italians brought it over in the 1840s in the gold rush. Mm-hmm. And this artichoke will be sort of really globe-shaped in the spring and late winter. All nice and fat and plump, and in the summertime it'll be more conical in shape. It wants to sprout up towards the sun, and its petals open up a little bit.
So it's a little looser.
Outside.
Interesting. Hey, Pat, I have a question for you. With those smaller artichokes, do they have less of that stickery, thistly, spiky stuff in the middle?
Well, a little artichoke, which we call a baby artichoke, which is a misnomer because it'll bloom before it gets any bigger. Its size is determined by where it is on the plant. So you've got those little baby artichokes hiding down inside the plant. Mm-hmm. And these guys are picked before they would start to blossom. And an artichoke, when it blossoms, has that, that fuzzy stuff that's in the center of a big artichoke.
That you can choke on if you don't get rid of it.
Oh, shame on you.
Oh, really? I was told that you could.
Well, it's sort of like this, Randall. If you chew on your own hair, you sort of don't like it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
That's what it's like.
You don't try to swallow that. Then this is hair-like, so you really don't swallow that either.
I think of it the same way I think of that little thing that's at the base of the banana. I was just told by my parents,
don't eat it.
Don't ever eat that. Yeah. So.
Well, back to that baby artichoke. Yes. The inside of a baby artichoke is completely edible. There's things in cans called artichoke hearts. Mm-hmm. They come from little artichokes, not big artichokes.
Oh.
So you'll notice in those, if you get a whole one or a half of one, you'll see that tiny little tiny bit of fuzz at the bottom. It's completely edible. It's soft and tender.
I was told by a grower in the Lompoc region at a farmer's market in Templeton that told me she had some of those baby artichokes out, and she said, you can stir fry these and eat the whole thing. And I was like, wow, that's great. So I was going to ask that same question, Patty,
about the little spiny things inside.
Yeah. Now,
well, when you say the whole thing, no, you can't eat those hard petals on the outside.
Oh, okay.
You have to strip off a couple of maybe a layer of those outer petals, and then you cut the top of the artichoke off. Because that's hard green. With an artichoke, anything that's green, dark green, is inedible. Anything pale green and yellow is edible, unless it's the hairy like fuzz, the big artichoke. Okay. Purple and green are not edible.
I bought a huge artichoke at the farmer's market a couple of weeks ago, and it had an enormously long stem that was really good size in diameter. I want to say more than an inch in diameter. And the woman told me, you can eat that whole stem. It's an extension of the heart. And I was like, really? So I popped it in the pressure cooker, because that's how, with a little olive oil, that's how I was taught to make them. And sure enough, I could eat that whole stem, and it tasted just like the heart, and it was delicious. There was a little bit of fiberiness on the direct outside layer, so maybe if I just pulled away or shaved away a layer or so, but it was like like an extension of the heart.
Randall, that's it. What you have to do is peel it like you would broccoli. Broccoli stem. You just peel off that hard green. Remember, the dark green is going to be tough and fibrous, so you peel that off, and yes, a thick stem is a blessing. When you get a good stem, you can just peel it and eat it like the heart of the artichoke.
Because normally people trim that off so they sit up nicely on the plate when you serve them.
Right. They get rid of the best part.
Who knew?
Well, if you serve them upside down on a plate, you cut the top off, because the top
serve them the other way.
Yeah, serve them upside down with the stem up. And then as you pull the petals off, you pull them up the stem, and that peels the stem.
Oh, okay.
So smart. No wonder we have the expert on. She's got all the information.
As Americans, we tend to almost eat more mayonnaise than we do artichoke as we're eating it.
Oh, come on.
I've been using hummus lately in place of
that's good.
In place of mayonnaise, because I figure they come from the same part of the world, so they must.
I like a little balsamic reduction.
Ooh, that would be good.
That's a good one.
Pat, do you have a recommendation?
Well, if you're an East Coaster, you do all kinds of strange things with butter.
Oh, yeah.
And here on the West Coast, we do strange things with mayonnaise. They mix everything with mayonnaise. One of the best things is a soy sauce with mayonnaise.
Oh, I bet that would be
good. Ooh, that would be good. I have a lot of that. And our Anthony over here says yogurt and honey and Dijon mustard. Was that your combo for dipping?
Oh, yeah. A little white vinegar to season it. So, I like that idea. Okay, we have about a minute left, Pat, to talk about the big event that comes up next month there in Castroville. It's the annual Artichoke Festival.
May the 19th and 20th, and this year we're really going to celebrate our first year as the official vegetable of California. We're pulling out all the stops. We're going to have artichokes prepared every which way for you. One of our favorites is as a pasta sauce. We use artichokes as a pasta sauce. And also, we're going to have demonstrations for people that don't know how to handle artichokes and show them everything that you can do. We're just going to have a lot of fun. We're going to grill them. We're going to have a parade. We're going to have wine tasting.
Artichoke art.
Oh, yes, agro art. We got all kinds of vegetables and artichokes put together, making 3D art. It's a hoot. You'll love it.
Pat, isn't that the restaurant there? I can't think of the name of it. It's probably very obvious.
With the giant artichoke?
With the giant artichoke in Castroville.
Yes, you can come get your picture taken in front of the giant artichoke.
When I lived up there, that's where we always took anyone who was visiting. We did the tourist thing, went right to the giant artichoke.
I love it. Well, we have...
So do come to our festival.
Absolutely. Pat, we have, I should mention, Pat Hopper, California Artichoke Advisory Board. We have a link at eatdrinkexplore.com to your website, as well as the Artichoke Festival, which I think is like artichokefestival.org, or is that right?
You're close. I think that'll get there.
Yeah.
Google it.
Right. Pat, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you, Randall. Thank you. Thank you, Patty.
All right. Take care. Stick around, everyone. Patty's got to get out of here, but I'll be here for a great cookbook interview. California business owners, entrepreneurs, farmers, authors, and other professionals, this message is for you. We're looking to highlight those of you who give back to the community, care about the environment, and have the health of our state as part of your business model or focus. Our new California Love website is in the beta testing phase. So, during the next few months, we're offering free listings to qualified people or business entities. It's a win-win situation. You help populate our site with quality, locally owned California companies, and we help direct customers to your business or product. Simply head over to caluv.com. That's CA as in California, LUV as in a cute way to spell love.com, and enter the information for your business today. Why wouldn't you? It's easy and it's free. caluv.com, the California Love Business Recommendation Tool.
May is National Bike Month. Now, I used to be intimidated at the thought of biking to work. I worried about my outfit, the traffic, and the time, but my expanding waistline and rising gas prices helped me rethink that position. And last May, I tried riding to work. What an amazing change. In the years since I started riding to work, I've lost weight, saved money on gas, and canceled my gym membership. You should try it. Here are a few tips to help you get started. Alter your route for biking. Cars and bikes are both vehicles and both have a right to the road, but you'll feel more comfortable and more able to enjoy your ride if you choose less traveled streets. Ride with a friend the first few times, someone who has experience biking to work. They'll help you figure out how to carry your clothes, where to park your bike, and the easiest way to get to the office. Follow all the same rules you follow while driving. Signal before you turn, stop at all stop signs, and stay in the rightmost lane going in your direction. Biking to work is fun, easy, and enjoyable. Try it. For more tips and techniques on how to commute by bicycle or to find other cyclists in your area, visit bikeleague.org.
The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience.
Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
And the time now, 9:33 on this Sunday morning. Great to have you joining us here on the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network today. I am your host, Randall White. And as you know, any regular listener to the program, cooking and recipes are such a huge part of the show. And we often talk about the trends surrounding certain ingredients. Or we'll focus on, say, a variety of methods used in preparing foods, but we rarely talk about the science behind what's happening when the food is being cooked. Our guest today for this segment of the show is somebody I've really wanted to interview for several months now, ever since I heard about a book that he and his gang at America's Test Kitchen on PBS compiled. It's called The Science of Good Cooking. And joining us now is Jack Bishop, chef and editorial director at America's Test Kitchen. Welcome to the program, Jack.
Hi, Randall. How are you?
Great. And I got to tell you, I love this book. For those watching our video simulcast at home right now, I'm holding it up and they can see how thick it is. How big it is. You cover a lot of concepts in this book. I love the way that it's laid out, explaining the concept and then tying into recipes you can utilize those concepts with.
Yeah, we're really known at America's Test Kitchen for getting under the hood of recipes and really understanding how they work. And we've been doing this now for more than 20 years. We've got 40 people working in a test kitchen, developing and testing recipes. And a couple years ago, I said, you know what, we've learned so much about cooking, we should sort of put all of that general information, kind of all of the best practices, all of the science that we've learned over 20 years into one big book to explain to people how cooking really, the chemistry and the physics, what's really happening when you're cooking.
Let's tackle a few of those, and we'll start with very basic elements of cooking: heat and time involved in preparing a dish. And there's like a balancing act with those two, right?
Yes, I mean it's all about balancing both of those things. I mean, when it comes to heat, when we're cooking, we're often transforming foods into a either safer or more palatable state.
Right.
Nobody really wants to eat a raw steak. I guess if you grind it up for steak tartare.
Right. There might be a few. Yeah.
But cooking it makes it much more palatable. But cooking develops flavor. Any food that's browned is going to be more flavorful.
And high heat and fast cooking tends to be more toward the flavor side, right? And slow cooking more for tender with meats?
Right. And, because at some point you move from developing flavor to accelerating the moisture loss. And so generally, a lot of recipes have a combination of those two things. It might start off with high heat but then go very gentle, because what you're trying to do is make sure that you don't have too much moisture loss. Mm-hmm. And people always are asking me what's the secret to a juicy steak, and I was like, don't overcook it. That's the secret.
That's simple.
The higher what's happening is the fibers are contracting. And basically, the more you cook it, the more the muscle fibers contract and the more juices that get expelled. Mm. And so a steak that's cooked to 145 degrees, kind of medium well, is always going to be less juicy than a steak that's cooked to medium rare, which is about 125 degrees.
And do I understand it correctly that browning the meat ahead of time does not seal in the juices, as people might think?
It does absolutely nothing for sealing in the juices. The only thing you can do to keep juices in place is to not overcook meat. Uh-huh. That the searing step that a lot of recipes begin with is really important for developing a browned crust, and that browned crust makes the steak taste better, mm-hmm. but it does nothing to do with juiciness.
If you want to hold on to some juices once the meat is prepared, you need to let it rest before you start carving it. This is something that my parents have long said when they would bring a meat, like a big steak off the grill when I was growing up. They'd let it sit in the kitchen for a little bit before they started carving it up.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest mistakes that novice cooks make, is that, they're making the holiday turkey, they're making a big roast, they're making a steak, and they immediately want to serve it because they're, it's hot. We got to get it to the table quickly. Well, the problem is that if you go to carve that holiday turkey or roast, you're going to have a flood of juices all over your carving board, and that's because, during the heating process, the fibers are really contracting, and if you let that roast rest for, a small roast should rest 10 or 15 minutes, a larger roast maybe 20 minutes, it will relax, and we found that you can actually reduce the amount of juices that are lost by up to 40% by letting the roast rest before you go ahead and slice and serve it.
As much as 40%? That's a lot.
It's the difference between, dry, tough meat that you need gravy for and juicy meat. And, you've gone to all that work to cook it. You don't want to blow it in that last, final step by slicing into it too soon and all the juices ending up on the cutting board where they don't do anybody any good.
Now, carving up the meat, that's the end of the process. At the beginning of the process, for some people, there's marinating. And you and your colleagues there at America's Test Kitchen say, no, do not use acid-based or acidic marinades, but yes, toward the brine or the salty versions.
Yeah, there's this theory that acid-based marinades, so with lime juice, lemon juice, wine, vinegar, will tenderize the meat. And you know what? They don't tenderize the meat. They will make the exterior of the meat a little bit mushy, but what they're actually doing is drawing the natural juices in the meat or the chicken out of it. And so you end up with a drier piece of food that's a little bit mushy on the outside, but it's not really tender or juicy. If you use a salty marinade, either that has salt itself or a salty ingredient like soy sauce, that salt basically penetrates into the meat, and it's like a brine. And you are, in effect, brining the meat, and the salt changes the structure of the muscle proteins so that they are able to hold onto the natural juices in the meat much better. The salt also brings some of those flavors. So if you've got garlic, for instance, in your marinade, when the salt is traveling through via osmosis into the cellular structure of the meat, it's carrying the flavors of the garlic with it. And so you end up with more flavor being penetrated deep into the meat when you've got salt rather than acid as the main ingredient.
I know that mushy meat taste that you're talking about, and I never connected it to the meat literally being broken down by those acids. And that's basically what happens. That outer layer, right, just gets that. Anyone who's had it knows what I'm talking about. It's that yucky sort of mush taste.
Yeah, and it's really mostly about flavor. The main reason you want to marinate a piece of meat or a piece of chicken is for flavor, not texture. I mean, people think, you're going to take a tough steak, a cheap cut, and somehow a marinade is going to transform it into filet mignon. That's not going to happen. It'll make it taste like whatever it is that's in the marinade. That's the main reason you would be marinating something.
Didn't there used to be like a sprinkle that you could put on meat that was supposed to help tenderize? Did that basically do what you're saying, just make it mushy and not better?
Yeah, the accent.
Yes.
And it has an enzyme that's derived from papayas, believe it or not. It's called papain, and it has the ability to break down muscle fiber and make it mushy. It doesn't really make it tender, but that's basically what it was doing. It was a dried version of something that's in papaya.
Right.
And we don't recommend that either at the Test Kitchen.
Now, you were talking about that flavor is the key, of course. There are some elements that really boost flavor. They're known as glutamates, and they are controversial in some circles, especially if you call it a monosodium glutamate. How do glutamates work, and what are the misconceptions around them?
Well, first of all, let's start off by explaining that glutamates are naturally occurring. So red wine, garlic, onions, tomatoes, soy sauce, Parmesan cheese all have naturally occurring glutamates. And what the glutamates do is they stimulate what the fifth sense. I mean, we all grew up in if we went to an American school, we learned that there were four tastes, sweet and salty and sour and bitter. But there's actually a fifth taste. It's called umami, and a Japanese scientist discovered this about a century ago. And now pretty much scientists around the world agree that there are five tastes. And this umami is, for lack of a better word, meatiness or savoriness. It's kombu. The seaweed has a lot of glutamates in it. If you think about that savory quality of really good Parmigiano Reggiano, that's because it's rich in glutamates. And so we will often, in a lot of our recipes in the Test Kitchen, use these ingredients that are rich in glutamates to ramp up meaty flavors. So if we're making a beef and vegetable soup, or we're making a beef stew, we often will use a little tomato paste, which is a really concentrated source of glutamates, in order to bring out the full flavor of the beef in it. And so it's a really, it's a really great way to make something taste better and more appealing. And, a lot of restaurant chefs sort of do this intuitively, but the science here is pretty strong.
And what about people who, we only have a short moment before the commercial break, but people that say they're sensitive to monosodium glutamate, are they also sensitive to these naturally occurring forms?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated subject. Most of the people who think they're sensitive to MSG might actually be sensitive to something else. There haven't been any studies to really document that sensitivity. And these naturally occurring glutamates, they're in everything from, as I say, onions to garlic to seafood. Mm-hmm. I've never really heard of anyone being allergic to that compound.
Right. We're speaking with Jack Bishop, chef and editorial director at America's Test Kitchen on PBS, the new book, The Science of Good Cooking. I have to say we get a lot of books here at Eat, Drink, Explore. They come to the door every couple of days. This is my favorite that I've looked at so far. And so we'll be back in just a moment with more, including how to make a perfect omelet. You're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore, and we're back in a second. Randall White here, host of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, with a tip for Central Coast wine tasting. Eberly Winery was recently voted Winery of the Year by the world's top sommeliers and has one of the best local tours according to Wine Spectator. Eberly Winery open daily 10 to 6, and the winery's cave tours and wine tasting always complimentary. It's easy to find, too. Located on Highway 46 East, just 3.5 miles from Highway 101. Now it's time to plan your visit. Just head to eberlywinery.com.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. Other groundbreaking ideas from that time: the whalebone corset, the pedal-operated submarine, and the two-story outhouse. We've come a long way since then. It's time our light bulbs did the same. Visit EnergySavers.gov and learn about energy-saving light bulbs. See, these new bulbs are more efficient than the old ones, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. They last longer, too, like how we humans last longer now that doctors use antibiotics instead of leeches. And they cut down on our energy costs, because in our own groundbreaking age of aeroplanes and moving pictures, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Randall White here, host of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, with a tip for Central Coast wine tasting. Eberly Winery was recently voted Winery of the Year by the world's top sommeliers and has one of the best local tours according to Wine Spectator. Eberly Winery open daily 10 to 6, and the winery's cave tours and wine tasting always complimentary. It's easy to find, too. Located on Highway 46 East, just 3.5 miles from Highway 101. Now it's time to plan your visit. Just head to eberlywinery.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore Media radio show you are currently enjoying is in a local affiliate commercial break. Live programming will return shortly. Did you know you can watch a live video simulcast of our Sunday morning and Thursday evening shows from your computer, smartphone, or tablet device? And to top it off, it's free. Simply head to eatdrinkexplore.com or download our free app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. If you have a suggestion for an upcoming guest segment, send an email to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. We're always looking for fresh ideas, including yours. We love to share fresh, local, organic, seasonal, and sustainable ideas throughout the week. And the best place to find those are on our Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook feeds. Our username across the social networking universe is simple: Eat, Drink, Explore, all one word. Hey, college students, Eat, Drink, Explore Media is always looking for qualified journalism or marketing interns. Send us an email today so we can check your status and put you on the list for upcoming intern vacancies. Would you like to hear this Eat, Drink, Explore radio program on one of your local radio stations? Let the station know and contact us as well so we can get the ball rolling. Okay, you made it. The local affiliate commercial break is now over. Time for more informative and entertaining programming from Eat, Drink, Explore Media. Thank you for your patience. And welcome back to the final segment here of the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network on this Sunday morning. Great to have you with us, and welcome back to Jack Bishop, chef and editorial director at America's Test Kitchen on PBS. The new book, The Science of Good Cooking. You can find it at a local bookstore near you or online. We have links under today's program summary at eatdrinkexplore.com. Jack, when we left off, we were talking about glutamates and how they really ramp up food flavor. I just purchased some fish sauce the other day for a recipe that I was making. You find it a lot in Asian cooking. That's high in glutamates, is it not?
It's a really concentrated source of glutamates. I mean, fish sauce works much the way soy sauce does in a lot of Asian recipes, and just brings out other flavors, and it has a very intense smell, but when you're using it in recipes, you don't really quite pick that out quite as much as you do if you just take a whiff of the bottle of fish sauce.
Yeah, it cooks off pretty quickly, and every time I use it, somebody says, wow, this tastes great. Now we know why. It's the glutamates that are in there. Now, I'm more of a bean person than a meat person. I want to address a concept in the book that recommends using a brine prior to cooking and then cooking with salt. I personally don't pre-soak the beans. I don't use salt when I'm cooking, and I use a pressure cooker. I love how the beans come out, but then when I looked at the photos in the book, I did realize my beans do kind of fall apart. I typically end up mashing them anyway, so I don't concern myself with that. But if you brine them ahead of time, apparently, and use salt while cooking, you really get a nicely shaped bean at the end.
Yeah, for us, our goal is to get a bean that is creamy in the middle, but still has an intact skin. And so it's not really simply a aesthetic issue. If you have the skin split, it can make the dish very starchy. Now, if you're trying to mash the beans for refried beans, obviously that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But if you're using the beans, let's say, in a pasta soup, I'm not sure you really want all that starchiness from the beans. And so if you can get the skin to cook up tender but intact and the inside to be creamy, that's the goal. And we found that rather than just soaking the beans, which basically just cuts the cooking time. So if you soak the beans overnight, if they would take 2 hours on the stovetop to cook normally, if you were taking them right out of the bag, they'll probably take 90 minutes if you soak them. They also just hydrate a little bit better, and they cook a little bit more evenly if they are soaked. And if you add some salt to that soaking liquid, and in fact brine the beans, they also tend not to burst when you go to cook them. And so we recommend brining the beans if you're cooking dried beans before you cook them.
What I love about this book is it breaks so many myths that people pass along to each other. And one of the things that I had been told, the reason why I don't use salt, one is for health reasons, but secondly is I was told that it would make the beans hard that when you cook them, but that's not the case.
No. If you go way overboard and put way too much salt in, you can slow down the absorption of the water by the beans. But the main reason why beans sometimes don't cook properly is because your water is hard. And there's really nothing that the salt is going to do to affect that. You can add a pinch of baking soda if you've got really hard water. Hard water just means that you've got a lot of calcium and magnesium and other minerals in it that are really slowing down the absorption of the water into the beans. Or you can, of course, use bottled water, which would get around the issue of hard tap water.
All right, it's breakfast time right now. A lot of people either cooking eggs or preparing to cook eggs. And the key with this are the proteins, right?
Yeah, Yes, so eggs are basically proteins that are coagulating, meaning that they are turning from liquid to solid. And you want to encourage that to happen, but you don't want it to happen in such a way that it squeezes out all the moisture. And then if you do that, you end up with sort of tough, dry eggs. So fat is always an important part of any egg recipe because it sort of lubricates the protein strands so that they coagulate in a sort of loose way rather than in a tight network.
And so when you're cooking like an omelet, you want to beat some fat into the mixture, or do you want to use more yolks?
Both of those things. I mean, when we are cooking an omelet, we will dice up a little bit of butter into small little pits and stir that into the eggs so that as the omelet is cooking, the butter is melting and the fat that's in that butter is coating those proteins in the eggs, and you end up with a very, nicely set, soft, tender omelet. And the water that's also in the butter is really important because the butter is about 18% water and the rest is fat, and the water turns to steam, and that makes the eggs a little bit lighter and fluffier.
I was going to, my next question was going to the type of fat matter, because in our home we use a lot of olive and grapeseed oil really for cooking just about everything. But in that case, there is no water content.
That's right. Any oil is 100% fat. That's one of the big differences between butter and oil, is that the water content in the butter, which can be a good thing in some recipes or it could be a bad thing depending on what the recipe is.
Now, on the same topic of eggs, a lot of people like to poach their eggs, but end up with, if you don't have one of those double boiler poachers, if you're actually doing it in the water, it can turn into egg drop soup if you don't do it right. So, what are your recommendations?
Add some vinegar to the water. That's the first thing. So you're changing the pH of the water, and that will help the whites coagulate more quickly so that they don't become so feathery and spread out. The second thing is bring the water to a boil, then turn off the temperature and slide the eggs into the pan, and then cover the pan and let the residual heat in the pan poach the eggs. The reason you're doing this is you leave the heat on, the water is going to come back to a boil, and those big bubbles are going to basically blow apart the egg, and so you're going to end up with egg drop soup. So a little bit of vinegar, bring the water to a boil, turn it off, and then add the eggs and put the cover on and use residual heat to cook the eggs.
And I guess if your end goal is egg drop soup, then you don't want to put vinegar in the water. Is there an opposite method to make sure that it all does feather out?
Yes. I mean, stirring constantly as you add the eggs, adding the eggs in a steady stream, and adding some cornstarch to the soup before you add the eggs so that the soup itself is a little thicker, and that way the eggs are going to be suspended more easily in the soup, and that if you add, you just add it to sort of plain broth, the liquid's really not that thick, and you end up often with the eggs dropping all the way to the bottom of the pot.
Well, so many more great categories we can't even get to. If you want to learn how to make the perfect pie crust, you name it, they're all handled in this one book. And I'll say it again, the best book to be dropped off at our door here at Eat, Drink, Explore in a really long time, if not in ever. I didn't say that very well, but you get the point. Jack Bishop, chef and editorial director at America's Test Kitchen on PBS. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
And that does it. You can hear more segments from this week's and previous week's show online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Plus, we provide links to all of our guests' website as well, including Jack's there, so you can order the book. Don't forget to download our smartphone and tablet device apps via the Apple Store and Google Play. It is absolutely free. Thank you to Patty Pyburn, my terrific co-host, who had to take off early today. Cora Adama, our studio producer and the woman working the phones. Anthony Renaro, in charge of audio. Ricardo Teodosio, my husband and our director of social media. I'm your host, Randall White, saying for all of us here at Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, we'll catch you back here next week, and ciao for now.
You've been listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you missed any of our segments today, look for them online or through our free Apple and Android apps. Catch you back right here next week.